Ethiopian Prime Minister Halemariam Desalegn arrived in Cairo on a two-day visit on Monday. Ahead of his visit, the foreign ministers of Egypt and Ethiopia held talks to prepare the agenda for Thursday's summit. Here's CGTN's Yasser Hakim with more on that visit.
The foreign ministers' meetings focused on several issues aimed at fostering bilateral ties, especially in trade and investments.
I am glad that our deliberations have established a mechanism for steering joint successful cooperation in the fields of agriculture, trade, investment, mining, health, industry, culture and education. It is our joint duty, officials from both governments, to cooperate closely in order to increase the volume of trade, pave the way for more Egyptian investments in Ethiopia, and particularly in the sectors of agriculture, industry and pharmaceuticals.
The two ministers did not give much details on the latest talks concerning Ethiopia's Renaissance Dam. Egypt wants assurances the dam would not affect its water share from the River Nile. But the Ethiopian foreign minister tried to calm those fears.
I'd like to say it clearly that the people of Ethiopia care very much about Egypt's interests and well-being. They know very well the importance of the Nile for Egypt, and we must work to ensure all countries can benefit and develop from the river.
Some experts feel these statements are a step in the right direction.
The joint committee meetings is a positive sign. It's a good step forward. It shows that bilateral ties are not based on the water issue only or the Renaissance Dam, but there are many other forms of cooperation. Egypt played a big role to revive talks which were stalled before. The visit by Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri to Addis Ababa opened the door for cooperation between the two countries.
The summit this year is a crucial one as it comes amid strained relations. But the Egyptians have high hopes that it would lead to a breakthrough and guarantees from Ethiopia that the Renaissance Dam will not affect Egypt's water share of the Nile. Yasser Hakim for CGTN, Cairo.
And of course, the Ethiopian Prime Minister arrived in Cairo on Wednesday evening ahead of the start of these all-important meetings between the two leaders. Let's get the very latest now on this visit. We're joined from Cairo by CGTN's Yasser Hakim. Yes, of course, this is a very significant visit by the Ethiopian Prime Minister. Just give us an update on the latest that's coming out of the meetings between the Prime Minister and the Egyptian President.
Yes, they have met early this morning and less than like half an hour ago, two protocols were signed between both sides. A protocol on industrial cooperation in the industrial and manufacturing sector, as well as one in the diplomatic cooperation that it deals more with easing visa entries, as well as a platform for diplomatic and political negotiations on various issues. At the moment, the two presidents should be giving a press conference at any moment now, and obviously the headlines or the main issues to be discussed in the press conference would be the Renaissance Dam, as well as the cooperation in investments, trade and agricultural projects.
And what can we expect as far as those major topics are concerned, particularly the Grand Renaissance Dam?
Yes, I think in the latest talks that have been stalled since last November, the talks were based on trying to form an agreement over the technical construction of the dam and a way to ensure how this dam would not harm Egypt or Sudan's water share. There is a committee that should be working on this, but there has been a lot of differences, and that's why the negotiations have stopped since last November. Now, Egypt, to try to revive the talks, have requested that the World Bank be a mediator, a technical mediator, and that the committee, the technical committee that's been formed, any results that come out of it should be binding for all three nations. This is a committee that is formed from members or experts from all three, Egypt, Sudan and Ethiopia, in addition to members that are from countries, from other countries to show that there is no bias in the results. Now, Egypt should expect today a reply from the Ethiopian side on whether they accept having the World Bank as a mediator. And I think this will be one of the main issues that could help sort of give a guarantee to the Egyptian side, a guarantee that they are calling for to ensure that the dam would not in any way reduce the water share of Egypt from the River Nile, and that the Ethiopian side would guarantee it will not harm the Egyptian water share.
And indeed, there is a lot at stake for all countries concerned. But Yasser, how would you say Egyptians in general feel about the Grand Renaissance Dam?
A bit worried, or even more than a bit. When it all started, there has been a lot of concern that the Renaissance Dam is a way to reduce, to put pressure on Egypt, just a political tool to put pressure on Egypt. Now, the previous presidents have taken a more strict stance concerning the dam, but current President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has always maintained that Ethiopia has the right, obviously, to develop itself. It needs energy and electricity, and Egypt does not stand against the efforts to develop the infrastructure in Ethiopia, as long as it does not affect the water shares in Egypt. And this stance in somewhat has calmed Egyptians a bit. However, the stalled negotiations since last November has again resurfaced this kind of concern, and I think there is a lot of public highlights on this meeting today. Most Egyptians are waiting to see the results coming out of the meeting. Will there be a breakthrough, and will they hear what makes them feel comfortable that there will be guarantees the dam will not affect Egypt? It's a very important summit for Egyptians at this point, more crucial than the previous summits, because this will really affect the relations in the coming months and years. Obviously, the beginning so far, signing 2 protocols and talking about more cooperation between both countries, is sort of giving some confidence to Egyptians concerning the relationship between Egypt and Ethiopia. They hope it will be reflected in the summit itself and the results out of the summit. Just the feeling that there is good intentions from Ethiopia towards Egypt. That's what Egyptians want to hear and want to see for themselves.
Yasser Hakim, thank you very much for that update, joining us there live from Cairo.